A lot of the critics would say there's a bunch of platform ministries that speak out prophecies in this nation, and yet those things don't come to pass. What should our approach be to that? Because should there be any discipline if someone makes a big prophecy and then it doesn't come to pass?
I think if a prophecy is spoken publicly or written or released publicly, because in the internet world, you can write it or whatever, if whatever degree it's proclaimed at, to the best of your ability, because in the globalization internet world, it's hard to, everywhere your word goes, you can't necessarily follow it. But to the best of your ability within reason, whatever degree that you've given the word, if the word ends up false or wrong, let's call it wrong. False sounds like you got a demon or something. A false word. That means like the brother's got horns, He missed it. He just missed it. I think that if you miss it, you must have the integrity to acknowledge it. And within reason, I don't mean you spend $1 million and go on an ad campaign to correct it to the whole world. I don't mean you put that kind of energy. But I think you get on the internet or you get on the same platform, and you're being filmed on the internet, and you say, I blew it. And it may not get to everybody who heard the wrong word, but it's out there. I think we have to do that. We absolutely have to do that. And I think that prophetic people that don't do that, it's not good, and I listen to people who have said wrong things. And I still am open to hear them. I don't write them off because they said something wrong, because in the Old Testament, the idea is that if you said it wrong once, you're false. And that's an Old Testament, that's true. But in the Old Testament, there were a very small amount of prophets in the whole world. And they're all in Israel. For the whole globe, they're a very small number, and they heard direct, audible voice words or open visions, or an angel came, something like that. But in the New Testament, we prophesy by faith. There's impressions, not only by faith, but there's impressions. That's why 1 Corinthians 14 says the prophets have to judge and discern each other. You didn't discern a prophet in the Old Testament. He's right or wrong, or you stoned him. But in the New Testament, we prophesy by faith, it says in Romans 12:3 and 1 Corinthians 14. We judge one another. And the reason we judge one another, because there are some things said wrong. But a guy or a gal that will admit it and live under that restraint and live with that as part of their testimony, I can hear a guy, miss it and still give me something. I still want it to be confirmed outside of that guy without him having any, outside of his ability to make it be confirmed, by the Lord tells me in some other way and confirms, or I get it first and the brother tells me something nobody knew, I appreciate that. So I think you got to clean it up when you blow it. And we've tried to do that over the years. We've had some different things that have said over 30 years, and we've put out statements and said, this was wrong. And you know what? We're not quitting, but the guy said it was wrong. It's not a big deal as long as we own it. Now, we don't want to be frivolous about it, saying it's not a big deal, but it's not a game breaker. You're not out of the ministry. I think that you're in trouble if you won't ever admit it, though. I think that's bad.